So if you ever been around somebody, you know what? You don't even have to be around them. Seeing somebody, observe somebody, and in the back of your mind, you thought, yeah, something about you is not quite right. Yeah, that's how I felt when I was reading this next book that I'm about to tell you all about. So, the book I'm about to tell you about is the first volume of Blood on the Tracks. So, because this is the first volume, this is going to be a quick review. There's a lot that I'm not going to talk about because this is one of those things where, yeah, somebody can tell you about it and you can probably guess what's going to happen or, you get into it. But if you do not experience the things that are happening yourself, it will not be the same. And this is one of those things where you have to read it and experience it for yourself. All right, so it started off with a little boy. Seichi was his name, I believe is how you pronounce it. And in the beginning, it's him and his mom, and they're walking, and he sees a cat laying down on the ground, and he's like, "Oh, mom, look, it's a kitty." And the mom's like, "Yeah, you want to go pet it?" And he's like, "Yeah, let's go pet the kitty." And so he's petting the cat, and then the mom comes and pets the cat, and he's like, "Oh, mom, the cat's cold." And come to find out, the cat is dead. And the mother knew that the cat was dead, and she just let him just go about his little, I think he's like 4 or 5 in the beginning, just go about his little toddler way and just pet this dead cat like there's nothing wrong with it. So then there's like a flash forward, but the way that they presented it was as if it was a dream about him petting the dead cat. So he gets up, he wakes up, his mom wakes him up in the morning. He goes and has breakfast. She asks him what he wants. He tells her what he wants to eat. She makes the breakfast, and then he goes out and is ready for school and meets his friends, and they're all talking about how... So let me just real quick. When I was reading this, I thought he was getting bullied. Like, the way that the whole friend dynamic was, it made it look like he was getting bullied by these kids, but he really wasn't. So they were talking about how they were going to go swimming, and everybody was like, and it's all boys, and they were like, "Oh yeah, well, we have our swimming trunks under our clothes. We're ready to go swimming." And they were like, "Do you have yours?" And he was like, "Yeah." So one of them literally walked up on him and just like pulled his pants down. I was like, "Oh, he just want to make sure." And he's like screaming, "Stop, stop." And then they're all just playing around like that. So it goes to the school, and, he goes about having his day. Well, at some point in time, it talks about his cousin and how his cousin and his aunt, they ended up coming to the house like every weekend all of a sudden. And then that came to them talking about how the grandparents wanted to do, it's like a hike on a mountain. And it was something that the aunt was like, "Hey, yeah, we should all go and do it with the grandparents." So the family gets together and they go and have this hike on the mountain. And so they do the hike on the mountain, and they all go to this, it's like the edge of the mountain. They get to the edge of the mountain, and his cousin's like playing around with him and pushes him, but he's not pushing him off the mountain. And the mother, she's like very protective. She like ran over there and grabbed him and was like, "Oh no, my baby." So she stops him from falling off the mountain, and the whole family is laughing. The aunt, the cousin, the grandparents, his dad, like everybody's laughing. They're like, "You are way overprotective. You need to calm that down. That boy is fine." So it's still the hiking time, and they all gather so they can have lunch. And then him and his cousin, they break off so they can go and pee in the woods. Basically, is what they do. So they go and they pee in the woods. And then the cousin's like, "Come on, let's go." He was like, "Well, we need to head back." And the cousin's like, "No, we'll be fine. Let's go." So they walk through, and then they find another like mountain cliff. And the cousin is in front of the mountain cliff, like playing around. And he's like, "Okay, we need to go because, I don't want anything to happen to us. My mom is not going to like me being out here by myself. We need to go back." And the cousin was like, "You're fine. You're all right. I mean, your mom is way overprotective anyway. Like, we're going to be fine." So he's just still playing around, like dancing around, acting like he's about to fall and everything. And all of a sudden, Seichi's mom is like just out the blue. She's there. It's like he's about to fall. The cousin's about to fall, and she rushes to the mountain edge and grabs the cousin. And the cousin's like, "Okay, yeah, I'm good. I'm fine. auntie, you can let me go. Like, let me go. You're choking me. Let me go. Not only did she let him go, but she pushed him off the mountain. Seiichi's watching like, oh my God, my mom just pushed my cousin off the mountain. Like, what am I going to do? I need to go tell somebody. What am I going to do? And he's like all in shock. And then it's like all of a sudden she changes and she's like, go get help, go get help, go get help. So he runs and he gets the rest of the people. He brings his family back to the cliff where the mom just pushed his cousin. The mom is like laying, she's like just at the cliff like, oh my God, he fell. He fell. No, he didn't fall. Seiichi watched you push him. But of course, he's not saying anything. He's not telling anybody that's what his mom just did. So the rest of the family is running to the cliff, looking over the cliff, trying to see if they can find the boy. His mom's crying like crazy, of course, which I understand she should be. The family's like, okay, there has to be a way. We have to find him. We can go down there. We can see if we can find his body. Well, they leave him and the mom, and then the mom is like in this state where she's on the ground and she like starts saying some weird stuff. And Seiichi is like, yeah, I don't know what this is all about. But I just watched my mom basically kill my cousin and I don't know how to feel. And literally that is where it ended. So that's why I said it's going to be a real short review. Now, did I like it? In the beginning, I'm going to be very honest. I did not know where it was going and I was kind of bored because it just felt like I was watching somebody with like a boring, mundane, daily routine of a life. And like it talks about other stuff too, like there's a girl that he has a crush on and he finds out that she has a crush on him, and he actually does confront his mom and he asks her about the whole cat situation because he says it's like a dream that he had. The mom was like, oh my gosh, you remember that? And he's looking like, yeah, I remember. I can't believe you let me pet a dead cat. Like, what was wrong with you? Did I like it? I did. But it wasn't until it got to the point where they were on their mountain hike where stuff started to pick up. And it just that it took so long to pick up. It's very slow. It is very dragged out. It feels like it was supposed to be more atmospheric than the words, and the page was supposed to be the thing that got you. It was more like, to me, it felt like they were building more of an atmosphere than anything. And when you finally got to the incident that was supposed to happen, that's when everything picked up. But the problem was when the incident happened, that was at the end. So it did make me want to continue to read it, and I am going to continue to read it. And I just hope that I do enjoy it. I'm going to just keep reading it until I don't enjoy it anymore. I mean, to be quite honest, because if it's going to be a slow burn, after a while, that slow burn is going to get on my nerves. And I understand that a situation already happened. So I would think that in part 2, or volume 2 rather, that Seiichi will have to confront his mom about it or confront himself about what he's seen. I can't wait to read it, and I hope it gets better as it goes on. But yeah, so that was, as I told you, it was going to be a quick review. So that was my quick review of Volume 1 of Blood on the Tracks. As always, I want to say thank you for listening to me ramble about the thing that I read. And as always, just remember that reading is a journey, and it is always up to you and no one else on where you let this journey take you. And just remember it. I don't care if you read a newspaper article, a manga, a volume of a comic, whatever. You read what you want to read and you enjoy your reading. All right, until next time. Bye.